It's not working real well tonight, so I apologize. Welcome, this is the Board of Education meeting Thursday, February 19, 2026. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our student reps, would you please lead us? All right, we're going to start this evening with the celebration of excellence, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Medancy.
Thank you, Mr. Oshana. So always a great way to start off our meetings, celebrating the excellence of our students, and we have a student to celebrate this evening. I would like to invite Brianna Moose up to the podium. Is Brianna here? And Mrs. Leventhal is here with her, so come on over. I'd just like to speak a little bit to this, and then Mrs. Leventhal, you can certainly add anything you like. The Southington High School Art Department is proud to announce Brianna Moose as our student winner from the Connecticut Region Scholastic Arts Awards. Their work was among those recognized by a panel of creative professionals as the most outstanding work submitted among their peers. The competition includes public, parochial, and private schools from around the state and is the premier competition to participate in at the high school level. Brianna, a junior at Southington High School, earned a Silver Key Award for her graphite self-portrait drawing titled The Little Things in Life. She will be honored at the Connecticut Regional Scholastic Art Awards Conference to be held at the University of Hartford Lincoln Theater, and that has occurred. It was on the 25th. Their artwork will also be featured in the Connecticut Regional Scholastic Art Awards exhibit at the Silk Gallery, Taub Hall at Hartford Art School, University of Hartford. And it'll be on display. It actually just came off display. But we have a rendering here for you this evening, and we certainly, if you want to expound upon that, go ahead.
Okay. As one of her art teachers and having had her in class multiple years, it is my pleasure to share this great accomplishment of Brianna's. She is an artist whose work exemplifies exceptional craftsmanship, focus, and discipline. With remarkable attention to detail and an unwavering commitment to precision, she approaches each piece with intention and care, ensuring that every line, texture, and compositional element is thoughtfully executed. Her artwork reflects not only technical mastery, but also patience, perseverance, and a deep respect for the creative process. Brianna holds herself to extraordinarily high standards, thoughtfully analyzing her own work and continually seeking ways to refine and strengthen it. She not only accepts constructive criticism from her teachers with maturity, grace, and gratitude, but truly values the feedback process, using it to meaningfully revise, edit, and elevate her artwork to exceptional levels of quality. Through this meticulous approach, Brianna elevates each project to a standard of excellence that truly distinguishes her among her peers. Beyond her technical excellence, she is truly a valued presence within our classroom community. Her kindness is genuine and unwavering, and her empathy allows her to connect with others in a way that makes others feel seen, heard, and valued. She is consistently willing to lend a helping hand, offer encouragement, or quietly support a classmate who may be struggling. Her generosity of spirit strengthens not only the creative environment, but the sense of community within it. She is wonderfully easy to talk with. Brianna is approachable, thoughtful, and sincere in every interaction. Each day, she arrives with a warm, authentic smile and a positive energy that brightens the room. There is a calm confidence about her that brings reassurance to those around her, and a quiet joy that makes the classroom a better place simply because she is in it. I am incredibly proud of her extraordinary artistry, integrity, and compassion, and it is a privilege to watch her challenge herself and grow. I am confident her dedication and character will continue to define her success in all she pursues.
Don't go anywhere yet. Brianna, it's interesting hearing these very nice words. Your technique obviously is not just amazing in your artwork, but your technique is amazing in your classroom as well. The things that you do and the way you carry yourself in your classroom, you should be very proud of. And hearing those words, you should be very proud of having her. So, Brianna, on behalf of the Board of Education, I have a certificate of excellence to present to you. And it says, Certificate of Excellence to Brianna Moose, having duly qualified under the standards prescribed by the Southington Public Schools, is hereby recognized and awarded the Certificate of Excellence for the Connecticut Regional Scholastic Art Award winner. In witness whereof this seal of the Southington Board of Education and the signature of the Board of Education Chairperson and Superintendent, hereunto affixed this 19th day of February 2026. Brianna, when I first got this picture sent to me, I actually thought it was a picture. I thought it was a photograph. It's the technique, the detail is absolutely amazing to me. And if you're doing this type of work at this point of your artistic career, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do as time goes forward. So please keep us posted on what you're doing, the artwork that you're doing. Feel free to keep sending it to us because I know we would love to see it.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We're going to take a 5-minute recess so the board members can come down and say congratulations. All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry, you want to go down there?
Is that what she said, what's that, every
We're
morning?
going to take a few minutes. Do you want to go down?
I'm not gonna go down.
Okay.
It's too much for me.
All right, we're going to reconvene our meeting, and before we get started, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. We have two members of the Southington community that passed away recently. Mr. Daniel Bird Jr. passed away on February 6th of this year. Mr. Bird served as an assistant football coach for Southington High School in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and he resigned from that role in 2017. Also, this past week, we lost Mr. Jude Kelly, who passed away on February 14th. Mr. Kelly was hired in the spring of 1988 as football coach at Southington High School, and in September of that same year as the health and PE teacher at the high school. During his coaching career, Mr. Kelly won 4 state championships, 3 at East Catholic High School and 1 right here in Southington. Mr. Kelly resigned from coaching in March of 2005 and then from teaching that same year. So could we please have a moment of silence for both of those gentlemen? Thank you very much. Mrs. Clark?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move item 11A, 1, 2, and 3 to 6D, 1, 2, and 3.
Second?
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, we are looking for approval of minutes from our January 22nd meeting.
So moved.
We
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also looking for a motion for approval of our January 29th meeting.
So moved. Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And third, a motion for our February 5th, 2006 meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Thank you. We'll get into public communications, and we'll start with our student board representatives.
Good evening, board members.
Item 6D.
Oh, I'm sorry. We just made a motion to move. And again, besides my voice, I'm a little,
That's okay.
my brain isn't working right now. All right.
It's okay.
We have an approval of our out-of-state field trips. We have 3 items on that, in that particular point.
Can we do them all as one?
Let's do them each individually.
Each
Okay.
individually?
You wanna-
Yep. Approval, move to approve the field trip request is presented by the administration for the, let's see, Nights Around the World, grades 9 through 12, Amsterdam, Brussels, and Paris.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Can we go?
That's, I just
Right.
asked. Can we go?
Just wait, there's more.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Move that the Board of Education approve the field trip request as presented by the administration for the Costa Rica field trip for the Spanish students, grade 10 through 12.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that one?
That's the one I want to go on.
All right.
Oh, and that
All in
one's-
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Perfect. And move that the Board of Education approve the field trip request as presented by the administration for the Southington DECA students going to Atlanta, Georgia.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes as
Go?
well.
Can we go?
We're not invited.
And now we will move to public communications to our student representatives.
Good evening, board members. To start us off, the high school has partnered with the Southington Community Services to create the prom shop. So students this past week were able to take a field trip to the community services in town to get used suits and dresses at no charge. Over 100 families were able to benefit from this program. Junior prom tickets were on sale this past week, and it will be on March 28th at La Bella Vista in Waterbury. And to note, this is going to be the last year that junior prom will be at La Bella Vista, and they're being moved to the AquaTurf. The high school drama club spring musical is Mamma Mia and will be on March 6th and 7th in the auditorium. Guest speaker, Dr. Miguel Cardona, which you probably know is the previous Secretary of Education, who's also from Connecticut, was able to come speak to a group of over 30 students taking African and Latino studies and give them a presentation. As well, there was a guest speaker on February 18th about career pathways in the hospital setting presented by the Bristol Health.
It's also been really busy at our elementary schools and middle schools this month. So students at Flanders recreated volcano experiments and built forts, raising over $300 for the sloper plunge. On February 9th, they collected more than 1,000 items and $300 for Bread for Life through their Super Bowl food drive. The Karen Smith Academy has now a partnership with Darnowski Elementary School, where 2 students are volunteering in classrooms at the elementary school. And at JFK, staff has recently sponsored a non-perishable food drive and a flannel Friday for causes to benefit Bread for Life. The JFK Unified Sports is going to have a basketball game against the DePaulo team. And orientation for our JFK incoming 6th graders were also held last week. 7th grade students at DePaulo learned about traditional African dance thanks to an artist from CT Arts and Learning visiting all social studies classes during the month of February. The DePaulo and Kennedy Middle School Drama Club is currently rehearsing for this year's musical, which will be Frozen, and the production will be starting at the end of March. DePaulo will be well representative at the Sloper Plunge held next Saturday with 11 staff joining. And congratulations to Hatton School with their Wizard of Oz production that starred with amazing directors from the high school, including Mia Bilodeau, Maya Indomenico, and Avery Strelakis. To move on for sports at the high school, the girls gymnastics team took first place at their CCC championships and competed at states this weekend. Wrestling took home 3rd place at the CCCs as well, and Ryan Rivera won for his weight class. Indoor track team had many top finishers in the Class LL championships over the weekend and making them qualify for the state opens upcoming. The girls cheerleading team finished 2nd at the CCC's championship, and both the boys and girls basketball team have qualified for the tournament, which will start next week.
So I'll be talking about the cap and gowns that we passed out before the meeting. So myself, the rest of the senior class officers, and Mr. Royan decided to look at unifying the cap and gowns this year to have a single design for all students. So the reason is to unify the school to having a singular design and creating that unity in the school so no one feels left out by having to choose one cap or gown over the other. And lots of other schools in surrounding districts around us have moved to standardizing their design. So it came time for us to do that. So we started the process by looking at different vendors, and we found a new vendor this year, which is cheaper, and honestly, it's better quality than last year. We got a sample of it, and the caps fit better, it's higher quality, and it's for a lower price than the one historically used. So on the front page of what you're looking at on the paper, the one to the right is what the design will look like. The royal blue with the S in the top right, and then on the sleeves, it'll be a white like ring around it.
Very nice, I like it.
And
Very nice.
And on the back side of that is like the one that we used previously, which is there's the all blue and then all white would be the other one. And we also provided the cost breakdowns. So we would be saving around $2,000 to $3,000 with the new company. So it's a better option for us. It's gonna look better. It's gonna be more cost effective, so we can put that money towards prom and other sort of stuff.
Nice.
Awesome.
So if anyone has any questions.
How was the feedback from the rest of the class?
I think a lot of people liked it. There was maybe some, they don't like change exactly, but I think most people really liked it because I think it looks better. The students that previously maybe had to decide, or sometimes people wouldn't go because they would have to choose between one color over another. So this gives them an opportunity for everyone to be able to go and feel connected to the community.
Unified senior class.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I like it.
Great. Thank you.
Of course.
And thank you for your report. All right, we'll move on to communications from members of the Board of Education. Mr. Brown?
Yep, thank you. It's now time to nominate people again for the Wall of Honor at the high school. To get an application, you can go on the Southington High School website and get one, or you can contact me and I'll send you one. The deadline is May 15th. I bring it up for a couple reasons now. Number one, to get nominations, but also I've received about 4 nominations already for athletes who are terrific athletes, but don't really qualify under the Wall of Honors criteria. So having said that, I did meet this week with both the president and the past athletic director. There is a sports hall of fame right next to the Wall of Honor, which has not been functional in the last 10 years. So our discussion was to perhaps constitute a new sports hall of fame, separate from the Wall of Honor, and to incorporate all the people who are in the past one, do some research first, and then to have the two separate walls, if it makes sense. We just had our first discussion, so there's nothing written in stone yet, but just to make people aware of that. So if you do want to nominate someone who's an athlete, hold off on that unless they did other things to qualify. So that's it.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Anybody else? No? All right, we'll move on to communications from the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple brief updates for you tonight. Last Tuesday, on February 10th, I sat as the CAPS Legislative Committee member on a panel that included Craig, Cabe, and Senator McCrory, the chair of the Education Committee. And essentially, it was what is the forum or the highest priorities for each of those groups. And for CAPS, ours was certainly one was to eliminate unfunded mandates. Our most recent document has 60 pages of unfunded mandates that have, as far back as we were able to research, that have been passed on to districts. Another priority for us with CAPS is to elevate the profession. I think teaching right now is not necessarily marketed as all that glamorous. It's marked as a very difficult and stressful job, underpaid, overworked. And I think many of our teachers who do this job do it very well and are proud of the work they do and love what they do. And I think our youngest students who, I can use my own children as an example, they're going to college and they're looking at what is at the $54,000 a year that I'll make coming out of college versus what I'm putting to get into college to get that degree. How long does it take for me to get a return on that investment? And we know in teaching, depending on what district you're in, it could take 10 to 15 years to get to a competitive level salary that you might get in the private sector much quicker. So kids are opting out, so to speak. So elevating the profession, not only from, I think, the values of teachers and what they bring to communities, but also, they should be fairly compensated for that as well, because it is a difficult job, but they do it well. And then the two themes that you've heard me talking about forever, excess cost reimbursement for special education. The state has committed by statute, you're supposed to get a certain percentage. For Southington, it's 88%. We've never gotten higher than 71%, and that was the highest that I remember. One year we got up to 76.5, but that was with a special appropriation. It wasn't originally what was within the budget. We've gotten as low as 60%, and so that makes it very difficult to budget when there's that large of a disparity between what you're anticipating getting back from the state and what you actually get back, and then that creates challenges for the district. And then lastly, education cost share revenue. I've been testifying for that to change since I've been in this position, and it's my opinion that the education cost share, which is the largest municipal grant that the town of Southington receives for education, public funding, has flat funded since 2013. Now, we know our operating budget has only increased during that time. And so essentially what happens is that burden or that ask gets passed on to the local taxpayers, and it creates a tension in the community. We want to appropriately fund education, but we have to be mindful of the ask that keeps coming year over year. And so there is the governor's budget does right now still flat fund it for the upcoming fiscal year, but there is strong bipartisan support and multiple drafts of bills in legislation to change the formula for this upcoming fiscal year with some sort of cost, some escalator, if you will, whether it's cost of living, inflation, call it what you want, that would be factored into what a municipality receives each year going forward so that it would never be flat funded for as large of a period of time as it has been. It's been flat funded since 2013. During that same time, as you saw in my budget presentation, we've also seen a reduction in federal funding. Our Title I grant used to be about $550,000. Right now, it's around $220,000. So it's a point of diminishing returns when you're getting less federal and state funding, yet the cost of operating a first-class district doesn't get cheaper. So To be continued on that front. Last night, I was able to present a conceptual design to our Board of Finance on the tennis courts at the high school and a parking, what I would call a parking solution to a longstanding problem at the high school. One of the challenges we've had is we have far more cars than we have parking spots, and a lot of that happened when the law changed and kids could not drive their friends to school, and so you have each kid taking their own car to school. Long gone are the days when people would pile into their friend's vehicle, and so we have many more cars. That results in parking congestion in the surrounding neighborhoods. We have issues with, mailboxes being blocked, garbage cans being blocked, on trash day for those neighbors. And then, most importantly, during the athletic events or music of the night, different, graduation, Pleasant Street is, you're parked all along Pleasant Street, and it creates a pretty hazardous position because there's no parking, no curb there in terms of a breakdown lane. So what you have is cars really crossing the line and heading in one direction, and cars coming at them, and not to mention when there are buses involved. So this would take the parking off of Pleasant Street if we were able to get support from the police department on that, and it would add 143 spots to the high school based on the design, because essentially the tennis court footprint would be moved, be enlarged, so their regulation finally repaired. You guys have seen the continued repair costs, and solve the safety and accessibility problems that we've had relative to the athletic complex. So I'm very thankful for their support. DECA continues to do what they do every year, and so our latest update on what DECA has done, Southington DECA achieved a Thrive level recognition during the 25-26 school year and will be commended at DECA's International Career Development Conference held on April 25th to the 28th in Atlanta, Georgia. There's quite a write-up for it, but essentially it's just a continued pattern, if you will, of DECA earning recognition as one of the premier organizations in the state in terms of as a DECA chapter. So a lot to be proud of there from the students and their advisors. Really excited to see. I'm still waiting. Maybe you just haven't checked your calendar yet to see who's jumping with me on February 28th. I know, many of you are trying to decide whether you're going to do it or not, but it is for the kids,
I'll do it with you, Steve.
if you can, find a few minutes to jump through a hole in the ice, it'd be much appreciated. And then if not, I would certainly take your cash and pass it on to kids to attend camp. And then lastly, this is kind of breaking news, hot off the press, I believe he knows, but I don't know. I mean, he certainly wouldn't put that in his student report because it'd be a little bit, somebody might think he's bragging. But Ethan Hoffman, our Board of Ed rep, just today was named a Cass CIAC Scholar Athlete Award recipient. Also recognized was Jacqueline Liebler as the female, who is not a Board of Ed rep, but is the other recipient, one of our students. Both of them are involved in cross-country, indoor and outdoor track, and they will be honored at the AquaTurf on May 3rd. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
So it's not just about performing on the field, it's also performing in the classroom. So job well done. That concludes my report.
All right, any questions for the administration?
If I may.
Please.
Mr. Medancy, thank you very much for taking the concerns to this, essentially the legislature. Again, I don't know if other districts do that, but certainly it's appreciated when you're going up there and eloquently stating our case. So, thank you for taking the time away from your family in order to do that.
Absolutely. And Mr. Medancy, the presentation on the parking lot and the tennis courts went over really well. Is that graphic on our website?
That has not been posted yet, because last night was the first time we presented it, and said we didn't know whether it would be approved or not. So since it was approved last night, I'll probably put it under the athletics portion of the website, because we have a district-wide facilities tab on the homepage.
Right.
But there's a lot related to the school construction projects, and I don't want it to get lost in that.
I think that's a really good thing for the community to see. It solves a 25-year-old safety and accessibility concerns, so I think it's a great thing for everybody to get a
And I
chance
can
to see.
put a link to it on the homepage in terms of like announcing it, like if you want to find it, click here and so that it's easy
Thank
to
you.
find.
Okay. All right, next, excuse me. Next on the agenda is communications from the public on items associated with the agenda. The way that this works is there's a 5-minute time limit per speaker. The secretary is going to keep the time as we go through this, and as we hit 5 minutes, an alarm will go off. At that point, if somebody is still speaking, if you could just end your communication so that the next speaker will have an opportunity to get up and give their conversation and give their perspective. Also, I know public speaking is difficult for some people, so if you are here and you do not feel comfortable getting up and speaking, but you're hearing a point being made by another member of the community, and you would like to show your support for that, stand up so that we can see that as well, okay? All right, so with that, if you would like to come up and speak, please at the podium state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Tricolo. I live at 211 Crest Road. I'm here tonight to discuss the elementary facilities plan. I'm here tonight as a parent of a 5th and 8th grader. Although my children are not impacted directly, I feel strongly that the decision to close their elementary school in order to gain some funding, redistrict, and on paper, increase building utilization will negatively impact Southington schools as a whole. Instead of facts and figures, I hope that you will be looking at faces and connections. There's a real human impact of larger schools on climate, relationships, and student belonging. I see it every day working in a different district that has done exactly what this proposal is being put forward to do. In neighborhood schools, kids feel valued, they feel safe. They are acknowledged by their first name by staff, a custodian, or a teacher they didn't even have, asking them how their game went that weekend. They know their principal knows them, not because of a disciplinary action, but because he or she cares for them. Social, emotional, academic, and behavioral needs can be met in this smaller setting. Teachers can pull students into smaller groups, or even one-to-one, when a reteach of a lesson, strategy, or some encouragement is needed. Students feel comfortable to take risks, intervention is effective, and students are supported. In neighborhood schools, care and love comes first. Families feel connected, and a community is formed. When schools are combined and districts consolidated, as I have seen firsthand, students become just students. They are not known throughout the school community by name. They are not known for being a sibling to a previous student. Most staff outside of their classroom teachers don't know their parents or anything about the students' extracurricular activities. Classroom teachers have less opportunities for small group and one-to-one instruction. Increased class sizes prevent teachers from spotting more subtle and early signs of student agitation to intervene early on, thus leading to bigger behaviors that compromise learning for the entire room. There is less time to meet the needs of our complex learners within the classroom setting, and more students are recommended for intervention since academic gains are not being made. Special education and related services are also affected due to restrictions on scheduling and the sheer size of population. These groups, which are supposed to be small and intentional, become less effective due to less delivery time possible with larger groupings. These staff are also involved in more meetings, which result in missed groups with little time for compensatory hours. Admin are unable to get into classrooms to see Tier 1 instruction, to get to know students in a positive, informal way. In addition to their district-based meetings, they are spending the majority of their day in 504, PPT, and MTSS meetings. The time they have for student interactions becomes more disciplinary. They have more state-mandated, challenging behavioral investigations to complete due to more behaviors happening within the bigger classroom settings. Our school communities become more disjointed. Communication with families becomes more general in nature, and students make fewer connections with staff. In addition to all of that, our district rating will go down. Voting to move forward with this proposal would affect our district's ability to meet the diverse needs of its students and increase the burden on staff and administration, therefore impacting the quality of education provided by Southington schools and our community. I urge you to uphold our community standards and advocate for a more ethically and fiscally sound facilities plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't really want to follow that, but I will try. Good evening. My name is Tracy Ianni. I live at 46 Alpine Trail in Plantsville. I stand here tonight to once again voice my total opposition to closing Flanders Elementary School, just as I did on May 8th of last year. I realize the burden a community is asked to bear when major projects are proposed is no small matter. As a low-wage earner myself, I get that. As a community member, however, I do not feel that should be of any higher consideration than the vibe and feel of this town. Who do we want to be? What image do we want to project? And who do we want to attract to our town? Truth be told, I don't want any of our elementary schools to close. I question whether it would even be a discussion if state funds were not a factor. However, if forced to choose, I stand by the adage of location, location, location. Southington deserves the hometown feel, so preserve Flanders Elementary. Built in 1966, it is a wonderful neighborhood school in a beautiful location. Its renovation or rebuild is more than doable, and it is worth digging in my pockets a bit deeper for. It's an investment worth making for Southington's future. As a taxpayer in Southington, I do care deeply about that. I do not want to see more residential building in that area, which I know is already being discussed. A word also about enrollment projections, since they have been cited in these discussions. Just a few short years ago, the BOE used projections as a cost-cutting rationale for eliminating a sixth grade academic team at both Kennedy and Apollo middle schools. This year, just 2 school years later, both teams have been reinstated at both schools. And not only that, the 7th grades have expanded to include an additional academic team where previously there were only 2. Were the projections that far off for such a short time period? Could they be off in this scenario too? What could those consequences be if they are? And finally, a note from personal experience. 20-plus years ago, when Strong, Hatton, and Thalberg elementary schools were considered for renovation, the town moved forward with the lowest cost scenario with the goal of fiscal responsibility, or so everyone thought. Progress went terribly off track. The contractor was ultimately scrapped. Everything came to a halt, and my 2nd grade son was transported from our Strong School neighborhood all the way across town to the farthest from us location of Thalberg Elementary for an entire school year. Was that in the end fiscally responsible? Did it end up being penny wise and pound foolish? I urge this board to look beyond the idea of a bottom line of dollars and cents only. I strongly urge you in the strongest terms to reconsider your plan to include keeping Flanders Elementary School open for all of Southington's future. You do have other options. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Shema Green. I live at 67 Memorial Drive. I'm here tonight to speak to you for a variety of reasons regarding the potential referendum which is being discussed. I'd like to begin by sharing something that happened last year. On April 11th, I emailed each member of the Board of Education at that time, with the exception of Colleen Clark, who had attended a Flanders PTO meeting and spoke with me there. I was hopeful that someone would respond, even a brief acknowledgement, but I received nothing. And as a taxpayer and a member of this community, we elect officials because we believe they will represent us. We trust that they will listen to concerns, consider suggestions, and engage thoughtfully with the people they serve. When I received no response at all, I felt unheard. I felt dismissed. A year later, that feeling hasn't changed. Over the past year, I've had to educate myself on school construction, grants, and referendums far more than I ever expected to. I did that research because I felt I had no choice. I strongly believe that the responsibility to inform, communicate, and engage belongs to the officials we elected. I absolutely understand the need to update Kelly, Flanders, and Darrenowski. That isn't the issue. The issue is process and transparency. What research was done to determine the full range of options? I know there's a district facilities committee, but did that committee conduct a comprehensive review? Did they evaluate renovation versus new construction? Did they examine where a new build could realistically be located? Did they assess the impact on the surrounding neighborhoods and community? If they did do this, why can we not see the research and the options they looked at? We're being asked to support a major investment. The research behind it should be clear and accessible. Financially, this plan raises serious questions. Colliers presented the cost estimates in 2025 for the new Kelly School, the South End build-out, and the Phase 2 at Darrenowski. Where did those numbers originate? What assumptions were used? What is the proposed square footage of the new school? How many square feet per student are being planned? Was a formal feasibility study completed? And now it's 2026. Are we truly expected to believe that construction costs have not shifted in a year? That the timeline presented in 2025 is still accurate today without adjustment? Another concern is the absence of architectural drawings. In 2011, when this district successfully passed the Kennedy and DePaulo referendum, architects were hired to create renderings and develop cost estimates based on actual designs. A feasibility study was completed before the proposal moved forward to the Board of Education and Town Council. The research was done up front. Why is that not happening here? If it's been done, why hasn't it been shared with the public? When residents are asked to support a project of this magnitude, they deserve detailed, current, and transparent information. We're not getting any of this. Rather than a facilities committee made up of just a few board members, why not create one that truly represents the entire community? One that includes members from each board, along with administration, and to ensure meaningful community involvement, invite participation from residents with and without children in the school system. Hire an architect, present all viable scenarios, provide clear renderings and cost projections tied to actual design concepts, then open the process to the public, hold workshops, record meetings, distribute townwide surveys to gather feedback. When questions arise, ensure they are directed to the appropriate board or council for clear and timely answers. Most importantly, make the research and input a true collaboration, not just among officials, but across the entire Southington community. So when a referendum is eventually brought forward, there should be no uncertainty or fear about whether it will pass. There should be confidence. Confidence that the process was transparent. Confidence that every option was explored. Confidence that residents fully understood why they're being asked to vote, and that they're voting yes because they believe it's the best solution for our town.
Thank you.
Talk here. Hi, my name is Sherry Shover, and I live at 60 Tanglewood Drive. There are difficult decisions ahead about the future of our schools. Many of you have had children in Southington schools for the same reason families like mine chose them. Your willingness to serve on this board reflects your commitment to this town, and I truly appreciate that, because I know this is not easy. Tonight, I'm here as a parent, as a lifelong Southington resident, asking you to weigh not just the numbers, but the impact on our children. I went to Flanders. My brothers went there. My nephews went there. And now my son is in first grade. His siblings are right behind him. If this plan moves forward, it will affect all three of my children and many families like mine. 7 years ago, we chose our home largely because it was in the Flanders district. Not for what the building looked like, but for what it represented. Stability, community, and a place where our children would be known as individuals. And they are. My son walks in confidently. Teachers greet him by his name. They know his younger siblings. That sense of belonging and security matters more to me than any future building plan. If Flanders closes, my children would likely be sent to Thalberg. Thalberg is already the highest utilized elementary school in the district, around 83%. And yet it is described as many as bursting at the seams. Consolidation would push that even higher. I'm told the teacher's lounge at Thalberg has already been converted into a classroom. Is that the direction that we're heading in, placing children in spaces never designed to be classrooms, simply to decrease utilization? I want to ask this gently. How can a school be 83% utilized, yet purpose-built spaces have already been repurposed? It may look efficient in a presentation, but children don't experience school in percentages. They experience it in overcrowded hallways, loud cafeterias, in classrooms created never meant to be, out of spaces never meant for learning. From a parent's perspective, it feels like stability at Flanders is being traded to make the numbers align elsewhere. If part of this plan is about aligning utilization percentages to meet state funding benchmarks, that deserves clear and transparent explanation, because the integrity of the data, the assumptions behind it matter. We teach our children to value honesty, accountability, doing what's right even when it's hard. Those same values should guide the decisions that we make for them. If Flanders were failing its students academically, socially, or emotionally, this would be very different, but it isn't. This is not a school in crisis. This isn't about correcting failure. It's about choosing consolidation over stability. This is a permanent trade-off. Once a neighborhood school is closed, it doesn't come back. What looks efficient in a presentation will feel like loss in real life, and families like mine will live with that reality every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Otero. I reside at 580 Andrew Street, and I am a proud grandparent of a Flanders student. I can also say I'm a proud parent of my daughter who attended Flanders about 27 years ago when we moved to Southington. Southington back then prided themselves as being a blue ribbon school and the whole bit, and I personally think closing any school, whether it be Flanders, Thalberg, Hatton, Strong, South End, is just wrong. Because then you have huge class sizes. We relocated back to Connecticut from Arizona. My daughter's first grade class, had 7 first grade classrooms with 25 kids per classroom. That's what's gonna happen here. You close a school, you're gonna have large class sizes. And what happens then? The education system fails. Like Sherry said, she bought her house because of the school, because of the neighborhood. We don't buy because we're looking for, the best grocery store or whatever. You're buying for the school system. And Southington has always prided itself on the school system. And I just feel that if you decide to close Flanders, if Flanders happens to be that chosen school, you need to really, really think about the repercussions, because it is a very family-oriented school. It has been that way ever since I can remember. So for 27 years, it has not changed in its camaraderie and it's just being a family. You guys have a big decision, a thoughtful decision that needs to be made. And you need to think about not what's best for the community in such as the community of Southington, but what's best for the students here in Southington. Closing Flanders is going to affect every other school in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening?
Angela Loretano, 87 Hitchcock Road. I want to express my support of moving forward for this project. For a proposed referendum this June. I'm a Kelly Elementary parent. My daughter is in 2nd grade. And this project will be complete after her time at Kelly. When we moved to our home 13 years ago, everyone told us, Kelly's next. It's one of the schools. It's going to be updated and it would happen soon. And yet, here we are. My daughter and many of those currently in these elementary schools won't benefit directly from this. So it's important for all of us to remember that this plan will be a benefit for Southington students for decades to come. The Board of Ed and an outside group have been working on this for years. The information has been presented at a town meeting that occurred in 2025. Data has been updated continuously since the completion of the studies. Many options have been explored, and this plan is the least disruptive and most cost-effective. If the best plan included choosing a different school, including Kelly, I'd still be in full support of that plan as well. Closing a different school, including Kelly. Well, I can emphasize with parents about closing a school, as we all have strong connections to our school communities. It's important to focus on the future. A lot of you are talking about a hometown feel. And I grew up in a very small town compared to Southington. And we do get that with the schools that we have. But even if our schools, if we provide the best education and the best facilities for our students, even if our elementary schools got a little bigger, you're still gonna get that personal feel. You still have those connections because that's what teachers do every day. Whether they're a class of 21 like my daughter's right now, or a class of 12. Or a class of, unfortunately, 25. That's a lot. But, they make that effort every day, and the staff does as well. So again, it's important to focus on the future. Students, teachers, and staff deserve to have a safe, up-to-date school like so many others already have in this district. The time to move forward is now. Further postponement of this plan will likely result in the same discussions recurring 5 to 10 years from now. In the meantime, we will all continue to face significant financial burden associated with maintaining the 3 oldest schools in our district, in our community. I appreciate all the work the board has put into this. I know that it's taken a lot to get to even where we are today, and I hope that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan Neely, 545 West Street. I'm here tonight in strong support of the proposed plan to rebuild Kelly School as part of the multi-phased approach. I am the mom of a 6th grade DePaulo student who just completed his time at Kelly, as well as a current 2nd grader who will never see any of these changes, by the time they're done. But I do come here, on behalf of the community and the students, and Kelly's school has been an amazing place for us as a family. But there's a great need for facility improvements. And right now across the district, we're spreading students and resources across aging buildings that were not designed for the way we educate children today. Rebuilding Kelly will allow us to modernize learning spaces, improve efficiency, and better align capacity with enrollment. It positions us to use our facilities strategically rather than reactively, ensuring that we are right-sized and thoughtful about how we serve students in the future. I fully acknowledge decisions that impact the education of the students in our community are far greater than dollars and cents. And I think it's a true testament to the education here in Southington that we have people here speaking so passionately about the places where, whether it's their children or themselves, have been educated. That says so much. Unfortunately, though, continuing to delay this item only increases our costs. If we don't move forward with a phased plan, the town will inevitably face major repairs to all 3 of the older buildings. Those repairs most likely will not be planned or strategic. They'll be emergent, urgent, and far more expensive because we're doing them reactively. After spending that money, we would still be left to fix whatever systems. We would still be left with the outdated, unmodernized facilities. And right now, we do have an opportunity to act deliberately instead of being forced into a crisis-driven decision later. I want to close by just saying that we all know that schools are more than just buildings. They hold memories, traditions, deep community ties. They're the place that we trust our kids to go when they're not with us. They're essentially their second home. But I'd like to think that we can both honor the history of our buildings, but not meaning that we can't build wisely for the future. I do think this plan is about providing safe, modern learning environments for our students while protecting the town's long-term financial health. And I do urge you to move forward. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening?
Seth Korn, Yorktown Road. Chair, Board of Ed members, Superintendent Medancy, and your administrative team. I am a parent of 2 current elementary school students. It is my understanding that it was recommended by the District-wide Facilities Committee, which consists of members of this board, Town Council, and Board of Finance, to move forward with Plan D2, and that following a vote in favor of this plan this evening, it will move forward to Town Council and Board of Finance with a referendum for June. Let me remind the board that the data provided has been reviewed and updated by the firm you hired to do several test site studies, enrollment projections, and more, along with the District-wide Facility Committee continuing to come up to the same recommendation it has for the past several years. The committee's recommendation is the most fiscally responsible and in the best interest for generations of Southington elementary students to come. Let's keep the momentum going and bring forward this request to the Board of Finance and then the Town Council for a June 2026 referendum. Since the last time I spoke at the Board of Education meeting, I was glad to hear that some of you took the opportunity to go see Kelly. This way, you cannot just make your decision solely from the facilities report provided to you or from a sense of tradition or history. As I stated before, seeing the actual building will or has changed your decision on delaying this project any further. The time is now to proceed with the elementary school project. I will again state that I want to collaborate and work with this board to see this project through. It is in the best interest of our students and community for generations to come. I am ready and willing to continue the conversation now, following this meeting, in the weeks and months to come to move forward this project forward to be considered for a June 2026 referendum. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening? Anybody would like to speak? Last call? Okay, seeing none, thank you all very much for your input. We are going to move on to our committee report section, and we're going to move into the District-Wide Facilities Committee last meeting, which was on January 27th. Mr. Benanzi?
Thank you, Chairman Oshana. So I summarized these minutes at the February 5th special meeting. You know, they weren't voted or recorded into the agenda, but essentially discussed what we had discussed at the committee meeting in terms of what it would take to move forward with the referendum. And it was the adoption of a scenario that included a phase 1 and a phase 2. We did vote on a phase 1 back in the spring, but it did not include a phase 2. And so in order to move forward with the referendum, that was one of the recommendations as well. And additionally, we talked about the date. Originally, it was a May referendum, and we talked about the timelines because for bonding and public hearings and noticing, there's certain timelines that have to be met. And given where we were, we only had one February meeting, which is why we put that on the special meeting agenda on February 5th, so that you could get the information you needed and at least have the heads up, if you will, that on the 19th, we needed to take some form of action. Otherwise, the next board meeting in March would be too late to meet the timing and notification requirements of the bonding in order to go to referendum. That was the discussion.
Very good. All right, is there any questions for the administration on district-wide facilities? No? All right. Mr. Carson?
Yes, I just have a quick question. Just in reviewing the minutes from the meeting on the 27th, it's notated in there that, let's see, I will get the exact language. The committee briefly discussed and identified unresolved questions related to facilities planning for Karen Smith Academy under scenario D2. What were those unresolved questions, and have they since been resolved?
Yes, the question was whether they would remain in the existing facility on the Daranoski property or whether a new Karen Smith Academy would be built on the lower portion of the site, which is where the new Daranoski proposal was, and test fits were done, and it was confirmed that it would fit there.
Okay, so as part of phase 2, a new
Karen Smith
constructed Daranoski would include a Karen Smith Academy?
Separate buildings, same property.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we are going to move to our Policy and Personnel Committee report. Mrs. Anastasio?
Policy and Personnel, we met on January 27th, and these are our notes. Policy 1312 and R1312, public complaints revisions were presented. The committee offered language change, which is now incorporated into the final draft of the full board. Revisions within Policy 3432, Budget Expense Report, Annual Financial Statement were verified by Jen Millett and reflect the current practice, which is the policy language updates are a result of recent legislation. Revisions to Policies 4100, Hiring Staff, and 4105, Effective Staff Recruitment and Retention. And both policies replace 4111 and R4111 4211 and R 4211. Recruitment and selection. They were offered as present current practice, consolidation, as well as separation and renumerating the policies as a result of continued work with the Human Resource Department. Suggested language was added to policy 5113, attendance, excused absences, and truancy. The language is a direct result of conversations with student board representatives and their associated committee work with the high school. Job descriptions for high school department leader and assistant department leader were reviewed. Changes in language are a direct result of high school administration aligning the associated responsibilities of both positions to the current practice. They have evolved over time, which is why they were changed. An overview of the climate legislation requirements was presented, as were samples from each level. The associated requirements of legislation were captured in a graphic on the following page, which is here. And each school's plan was linked to its respective webpage. We followed up with some old business regarding oratorical guidance as it pertains to curriculum and civil discourse and debate embedded units of study. And we discussed new business, which was administration is charged with gathering information for us around the cost of unfunded mandates, such as this climate legislation. And we acknowledge the associated that work is good work. And we discussed demographics of the children located in the Southington Public School System. And our next meeting is March 24th.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the Policy and Personnel Committee? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Anastasio. Next, we go into our Curriculum Instruction meeting. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. On January 28th, the Curriculum and Instruction Committee met. We had several presentations that were unanimously passed. First, Nicole Wilcox presented 3 revised curricula titled SHS Agricultural Science Intro to Mechanics, Intro to Small Animals, and Intro to Large Animals. Intro to Mechanics introduces students to the foundational principles of personal safety and agricultural mechanics. Students will learn about common causes of accidents, the use of safety colors and focal colors, and the importance of personal protective equipment. Intro to Small Animals focused on nutrition, behavior, breed, and handling using cats, dogs, guinea pigs, rabbits, and reptiles. While Intro to Large Animals explores the same concept using horses, cattle, sheep, and goats. Jennifer Carey, supported by Rebecca Savakal, presented a revised middle school digital curricula for 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. Formerly known as Middle School Computers, this comprehensive 3-year program builds essential digital literacy skills through hands-on application mastery. Grade 6 builds digital foundations using Google Sheets, Google Slides. By the way, I had to look up some of these. Canva, digital literacy, and Scratch coding. The essential skills developed are digital communication literacy, data analysis and problem solving, creativity and design thinking, and collaboration and reflection. Grade 7 builds on the foundation established in grade 6 and pushes students into advanced design, while grade 8 culminates in a capstone business project. Advanced topics covered in 8th grade are as follows. Tracy's Grid World, interactive programming environment navigation. Debugging mastery, error message interpretation and systematic problem solving. Function development, creating reusable, efficient code blocks. Visual programming, color effects and size manipulation through code. Variable management, data storage and manipulation techniques. And interactive design, using input-output for dynamic program experiences. Haley Kolesnik, supported by Michael Colantonio, presented revised health curricula for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The Connecticut National Standards drive the revisions and are as follows. Standard 1, concepts, functions of health information. Standard 2, analyzing influences. Standard 3, accessing valid health information. Standard 4, interpersonal communication. Standard 5, decision-making. Standard 6, goal setting. Standard 7, self-management. And Standard 8, advocacy. The revised curricula are skills-based, meaning skill development is the foundation of each unit, and therefore, since the curriculum spirals, the skills are expanded and reinforced via the content for 3 years. Vincent Bartoletti proposed a course revision to expand the current electricity and electronics to electrical applications in STEM, which will benefit students with 3 CCSU credits upon successful completion. Concepts of electricity and electronics, including circuits, current and voltage resistance measurement, as well as computer simulation and breadboarding, remain the same. The difference is a teaching unit will be added into the course, where students will explore and research and teach the class through a specific topic circuit. Additionally, students will engage in a new project titled Go Baby Go, which is a national school-based program that adapts battery-powered ride-on toy cars to make them accessible for children with limited mobility. Finally, Lisa Carmody, supported by Anthony Loomis, presented a new course titled Unified Physical Education, which is a fully inclusive and unique program that allows students of varying ability levels to work collaboratively through ongoing fitness, sports, leadership, and wellness activities. The Unified PE course heavily emphasizes the social and emotional development of all participants while incorporating physical and intellectual concepts in a fun and meaningful manner. Engaging in physical activity and sport alongside peers with and without disabilities helps to foster important social relationships. Members of this course will be empowered to help create a positive and more accepting school environment for all students. As I said, these were all passed unanimously, moved forward by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there any questions for Mr. Brown in the committee? No? All right, thank you. And I just want to remind everybody, there was a lot of work that was done in the policy committee and in the C&I committee. All of the information that we discussed tonight are out on the website. So couple things we're going to be voting on in some of the job descriptions, but the rest are first reads. If you'd like to see them, go out to the website, into the meeting area, and you can find all the documentation that's associated with those if you'd like to review those. Okay. Excuse me. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Looking for a motion on the personnel report.
Move to approve the personnel report as submitted by the Human Resource Department.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, old business. Any town government communication? Mr. Medancy? Okay, thank you. Neither do I. Next on the agenda is the discussion and adoption of the District-Wide Facilities Committee recommended master facilities plan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shana. I have this evening with us Pat Gallagher from MP Planning Group, as well as Charles Warrington and John Coppola from Colliers. Many of you may recall that they presented the results of the facilities study and the enrollment study at the April 1st special meeting workshop that was conducted. In addition to their presentation, there was some public comment that was gathered at the time, and board members had a chance to ask questions regarding some of the information that was being shared at that time. So they are here tonight. They do have updated information based on, that we've talked about the cost escalation with the lapse in time for the board to consider.
Mr. Krzyzewski?
Do we have to make a motion in order to discuss, or we're able to have this discussion outside of?
Yeah, we'll have this discussion, and then we can talk about a motion afterwards.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Pat Gallagher, Principal with MP Planning Group. Before we get into some of the updated numbers, I just wanted to give a very brief overview of the work that's been going on over the last 4 years and just kind of do a brief synopsis of the recommended master facilities plan that will be in front of you this evening. So really to jump back to all the way to late 2021, early 2022, we kicked off this latest long-range facility planning process. And the impetus was really to look at the last 3 elementary schools that have not been modernized over the last 20 to 25 years, with all the other buildings either being built new or renovated at some point in the 2000s or 2010s. And so Flanders, Kelly, and Daranoski really being our 3 key facilities, and trying to identify a preferred solution that strikes the balance between the many competing goals that boards of education have to deal with. We've done a tremendous amount of work over the last 4 years. And our goal is really to lay out the facts and provide you all with as much information as we can to help you all make an informed decision. So phase one of our project involved enrollment projections, so looking at where the district will be over the next 10 years from an enrollment standpoint. The capacity and utilization study takes a look at your existing facilities and their ability to accommodate those students, and then some initial planning options around that. We then took it a step further and did some additional due diligence on some of our options. So that included site analysis and test fits, so really to make sure that whatever we're proposing is kind of ground truthed in reality and the sites can support them. Getting into some additional details on cost estimates, and then doing a facility condition assessment to understand what those buildings need under the do-nothing scenario. And then leading into phase three is really where we are today, identifying that preferred scenario, moving forward with a referendum, and ultimately a school construction grant application for that phase one project. So whenever we do a long-range plan, we always like to frame everything compared to the status quo. What happens if we do nothing? So back in 2025, Studio Jade did a facility condition assessment for Kelly, Flanders, and Daranoski that identified between $105.8 and $116.4 million in capital improvements needed for those three facilities. That number was in 2025 dollars, so no escalation, and that is simply improvements needed to keep those buildings warm, safe, and dry. That does not address any educational or programmatic needs that those buildings may have. District-wide utilization is projected to remain below the 85 to 90% target. We are projecting about 150 to 160 additional students in the elementary schools over that 10-year period, but even with that growth, our utilization will remain below the target. And then we have some enrollment imbalance between the schools. As a neighborhood-based district, different neighborhoods grow and change at different rates, and so it's always important to periodically look at the attendance zones and be able to balance the enrollment between buildings. The district has also had to create satellite zones to alleviate some challenges at individual buildings. And then finally, we have a range of building sizes ranging from Daranoski, which has over 500 students, to several smaller schools, Oceana and South End, that currently have under 300 students. And I've been doing this for over a decade, and I'm yet to find a perfect solution when doing a long-range facility plan. And it's all about looking at the data, understanding the pros and cons of different options, and recognizing that there's no perfect solution. One of the guardrails we're up against is the need for state partnership in order to make some of these improvements happen. And when the state looks at a school construction grant application, they look at the totality of your plan in addition to the individual project. And when you go forward with an application, you really have to justify that what you're building is what you need. And so that was really a key impetus for our recommendations. We also recognize that the town is going to need to be a big partner in these projects as well. And we have to consider any limitations on bonding capacity and debt service that I know were part of our discussions. We looked at a number of options from status quo, which would essentially be addressing those capital improvements, to building 3 new schools, to building 2 new schools and closing Flanders without building any larger projects, and then 2 options where we built a larger Kelly, closed Flanders. One option looked at just building Daranoski at current size. The other looked at making Daranoski smaller by using that space in South End. And ultimately, it was determined by the facility committee that scenario D struck that best balance and addressed those competing objectives. I know this has been, a emotional topic, especially for the Flanders family, and certainly decisions about closing facilities don't come easy. Ultimately, we looked at a lot of different data, and there's really no one reason why Flanders was selected, but kind of a combination of various factors that led us to Flanders. Closing a facility allows the district to right-size its school portfolio, and it really justifies to the state and it commits to the state that you're building what you need and not overbuilding or underbuilding. And that also factors into our costs. If we build the right amount, we're really maximizing our efficiency and our recognition of the taxpayer. Flanders is the smallest of the 3 schools that are being considered as part of the long-range facility plan, and it's projected to remain the smallest building. It's also located proximate to other schools in a way that Kelly School is not. Kelly is the other school that we looked at initially. If we were to close Kelly, there would be no school in the whole northwest corner of town, and transportation and busing would really be a challenge there. We also looked at the sites. Kelly ended up being the more favorable of the two sites for new construction due to its size and layout. It allows a new, as part of the test fit, we were able to confirm that a new school can be built on an undeveloped portion of that site while the existing school stays in operation. Whenever a district does a construction project, we always want to make sure that we're cognizant of the students who are going to be in the building next door, and being able to have kind of a completely separate portion of the site makes Kelly certainly more favorable. Flanders is a smaller site and irregularly shaped, so we always, we're using kind of the bow tie analogy there. It's a bow tie shaped site with the school being located right in the middle of that bow tie. It's less conducive to new construction. There are some pinch points around site access. Certainly it's not impossible, but it's certainly a more challenging site than Kelly. And so these totality of reasons led us to the closure of Flanders. Getting into our recommended scenario D, phase 1, which was approved back in April, would build a new Kelly at 4 sections per grade. That would be an expansion of that facility compared to today, and would also expand South End by fitting out the 5 classrooms in the lower level. Following the completion of the phase 1 projects, the district would undertake a comprehensive redistricting and the closure of Flanders. This would not occur until the phase 1 projects are completed. So we're looking at fall of 2030, assuming that the grant and referendum are successful. And we did develop attendance zones as simply a proof of concept. We wanted to make sure that these were kind of logical, but we recognize that attendance zones aren't going to be approved or adopted until right before implementation. So we recommend that the zones and map be essentially confirmed about a year before, so the fall of 2029. Phase 2 would build a new Daranoski at 4 sections per grade. By building that space in South End, that allows us to shrink the size of Daranoski to a 4 section per grade, so bring it closer to some of its peer facilities and not making it much larger. And then the new Karen Smith Academy on the Daranoski property as well. And we don't anticipate additional redistricting as part of phase 2, since all of the redistricting would occur following phase 1. This just shows graphically the recommended scenario D and the relative sizes of the schools. This would reduce the overall K-5 capacity by just under 300 seats, and would land us right in that sweet spot of between 85 and 90% building usage. So why scenario D? It meets 21st century teaching and learning needs. As I mentioned before, that number from the facility condition assessment is just keeping those buildings warm, safe, and dry. It's not necessarily renovating them to your current educational standards. We have efficient operations, allowing our district to right size and operate between 85 and 90% utilization. It's cost effective, so it allows us to efficiently address these facility condition needs at the buildings. The fit out of space at South End was determined to be a lower cost option than rebuilding Daranoski at its current size. We also see cost avoidance savings on future capital improvements at Flanders, which were the average of that with the high and the low range was about $23.1 million, and then a one-time savings in operational expenses as well. And finally, being able to address condition at the remaining buildings, this would bring all of your elementary schools to a similar standard. And with that, I'll pass to Chuck for some revised costs.
Good evening. My name's Chuck Warrington. I'm the Director of Project Management with the Colliers Project Leaders out of Madison, Connecticut. We've been working with the district over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. So to follow up with Pat, we've been working on this program for quite a few years and constantly updating the costs for the scenarios. Just presenting scenario D this evening. So for the first referendum, we're projecting a total cost, a total budget of just under $90 million. That's for the new Kelly Elementary School. That's for pre-K to 6. And then that fit out of the South End School in the lower level, about 6,000 square feet. Of the $90 million, the Kelly's budget is approximately 82 million. Your current fiscal year reimbursement for a new elementary school is 50%. That is published. You can look that up on the OGA website. But with new legislation that was recently passed last year for early childhood care, it's possible to obtain another 15% reimbursement points applied to the entire project. That's a large impact that quite a few districts in the state of Connecticut are pursuing now. And so going from 50 to 65%, with the estimated district share of 43.9, of that, we're estimating that approximately 39.6 million of that is for the Kelly School. Now, what's important to understand is that that number incorporates a space standard deduction, which basically the state says for your projected enrollment, there's a ratio of what they're willing to pay for. We're proposing to build larger than that, and they'll take that ratio for that. Should the district apply through legislation for a space standard waiver, that number could potentially come down to an estimated 31 million. So that's not guaranteed. I just don't want to. That's why we don't want to present it in those lower numbers. This is as of right now. If we applied and we're receiving the 50 plus the 15% for that. For phase 2 for the Daranoski and the Karen Smith Academy, that total budget is projected at 94.4 million, with Daranoski comprising approximately 82 million, with the balance with Karen Smith Academy for that. Again, we're projecting the estimated reimbursement, most of that to be 50.8 for, nope, it should be higher than that. It's closer to the, about 50.8 for Daranoski. We're projecting that at the 50%. We don't have pre-K there. That currently also would have a bit of a space waiver reduction. If we were to grab that space standard, that would actually reduce your district share as well. So again, we want to go with current data that we have as of right now. The total scenario D for both is $184.3 million with an estimated district share of 104.3. Comparatively, if you were to look back at the study by Studio Jade for the complete 10-year forecast for your CIP, and escalate those dollars, it's roughly $133 million to just keep them warm and dry as is, compared to roughly $104.3 million. So just wanted to share that number as far as that goes. As far as schedule goes, so this schedule's been updated, and I think there's a comment about the schedule getting pushed back. It has been pushed back. The original intent was to go to referendum last November. Obviously, that's been pushed back approximately 8 months to this June. What that has done is essentially pushed back the rest of the schedule. Instead of opening the Kelly in fall of 2029, it would be in the fall the fall of 2030. So that has been impacted by the 8 months. We can't bring it back based upon our experience with it to a fall of 29 without doing it irresponsibly and pressing the design. So going back to this schedule, we put in some key dates based upon the bond council schedule, showing a June 2nd referendum. That red bar represents a grant application, so we'll be preparing the documents to submit that no later than June 30th. At that point, if the referendum is successful, all the project costs would be eligible for reimbursement. The grant commitment wouldn't come till about a year from then, because they do the priority list in December of later this year, December 15th, we'd find out. Once you're on that list, you pretty much don't come off. You know you have a commitment for that. At that point, you can start selecting architects and the rest of your project team, start the design of the project. We estimate about 16 months. We've done many of these projects of a similar size and scope to responsibly design it, estimate it, review it, and go through the process. It'll take about 16 months. We estimate the design to complete in early spring of 2028, with going out to bid in early, late spring, with a construction start in the summer, July 28 for that. And we basically take about 16, 18 months to construct towards the end of 2029. So one thing we wouldn't recommend is that redistrict in the middle of an academic year. It's very disruptive. Even just moving from the existing Kelly into the new, spring breaks are only four days long. It's not like we have multiple weeks to do so. We'll use that time, God forbid, if there's any schedule delays, that has a little bit of float there in order for the project to finish. And then once the summer 2030 comes, redistricting, moving the contents, once the existing Kelly is out and moved over, we would vacate it, do any abatement, demolish it, and reestablish the site, whatever that ends up being. It could be parking lots, it could be fields, that's to be determined. But then in 2030, as you can see, that would be the redistricting for that. So again, that's moved out a year. So that's a brief update on the cost and the schedule.
Chair?
Mr. Carson?
Yeah, are we allowed to ask questions? Chuck, quick question for you. Just, you brought up the early childhood education legislation, specifically the 15% potential extra reimbursement. Is that extra 15% reviewed under the same criteria and by the same board at the state as the overall reimbursement for new facility construction?
Yes, Office of Grants Administration, yes.
Thank you. And as far as timing, a date for the space waiver determination, what is the date of that within the timeline?
Yeah, so that, that can vary for that. I would anticipate if it's through notwithstanding legislation, be likely in the session for spring of 27 is what I would anticipate. But that can happen. I don't know if we would do it during this session, just because you haven't submitted your grant yet.
Right.
So it'd be better to do it probably in the spring session of 27.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Excuse me. Anybody else have any comments or questions? No? Okay. So we've heard the presentation. We've heard a lot of information over the last, I guess we can go back to 2019 when this first started. Several committee meetings, multiple members of the community, the different boards involved in this. So now we're at the point where we're looking for a move forward. What direction does this board wish to go in? So looking for a motion for Mr. Brown?
Mr. Chairman, I have actually two motions. I'll make one, then we'll deal with that, and then make a second one.
Okay.
Okay. First one is move that the Board of Education reapprove Phase 1 of the district-wide facilities committee plan, which included the building of a new Kelly School on the Kelly property, demolish the old Kelly School upon completion, and complete the build-out of South End School of the additional classrooms.
There's a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mrs. Clark?
We've already approved that. So
So why are we reapproving
approving
it?
it.
Yeah.
Want me to answer that, or?
Sure.
We did already approve it. I was going to say that. We unanimously approved that, actually. I believe what we're doing now is because the town council has asked us to approve an overall plan. So we're repeating this one, and then the second motion will deal with the overall plan.
I guess I'm confused as to why we have to reapprove it, because we've already approved it. It's actually the Phase 2 that we have
So
to.
why don't we just have a vote
vote
on
on
the phase
phase
2,
two.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
As
Or
the
the-
as the
yeah.
maker of the motion, I would have no problem. I could withdraw that motion and just make the second motion.
Yeah, because we've already approved, we've already
I
approved.
agree with you.
Yeah, we've already approved
Right.
it.
Got it.
Unless there's a reason that
So-
we have to. All right,
I'm
we've already
perfectly
done it.
okay withdrawing it and making the second
We
motion.
did.
Okay.
Because that's what the second motion does.
So before you do that, I just want to could I make one, I can't make one comment? So it is, this board did approve that at the last, I think it was May of 2025, last May.
May 2025.
May 2025, and I wanted, just as long as, because there's multiple phases in this thing, and with, as Mr. Brown said, the next step is this gonna be brought into discussion at the council for a referendum, just to be clear that that first motion and that first action has been approved, and it's been unanimously approved by this board. Okay,
A number of us were serving on that board when.
Yeah.
exactly,
We're clear.
That's certainly.
good, okay. Mr. Brown?
We need another motion.
So, I move that the board,
Is he formally withdrawing the motion?
He did.
yes, I withdrew the motion, and I'm now making another motion.
Just for the
It was
recording
a-
secretary.
It was a friendly withdrawal. Move that the Board of Education approve approve the district-wide facilities committee master plan option as described in the plan document with the understanding that Phase 1 has already been approved. This plan is a future-looking plan, and as conditions change over time, will be reviewed again at the time when action will need to be taken. Want me to read that again, or are you okay?
Yeah, read that again.
Read that again,
Okay.
please.
I'll go slower.
Thank you.
Move that the Board of Education approve the district-wide facilities committee master plan option as described in the plan document with the understanding that Phase 1 has already been approved. This plan is a future-looking plan, and as conditions change over time, will be reviewed again at the time when action will need to be taken.
I second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Mrs. Clark?
Yeah, I'm puzzled because it doesn't say anything. It just says,
Right.
it just says we'll do something, but it doesn't say what we're going to do.
It does,
It does, it's what the facilities committee came up with, correct?
Which is D2.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Which is
Approve the plan.
D2, but you don't say what the plan
Don't say
is.
D2,
And you,
the plan.
I would add the friendly amendment then to
could you
put
say in,
Plan D2 then.
upon completion of construction, Flanders Elementary, I mean, you could, it's on the agenda. It has
Which-
what the motion, if you were to do one motion, it has what it is. What you're saying is very ambiguous to me, so I'm on the committee, so I'm just not sure what it is you're,
I have no problem spelling out the plan if you wish.
yeah, I think
Well,
we'd
I
be
mean, the
better
plan we
served.
just saw is the plan. It's
Yeah.
D2.
I think if you look on do you have a board book?
Yeah.
It has a motion.
It
The reason
does.
I'm saying that is I want it to be clear, because
Okay.
if we want to present this to the town council, I want it to be clear what our plan is.
Okay, I'm going to suggest I'll withdraw that. If you want to read that one, the other motion, you may make that one then, the one that's in the book.
Okay,
I'm okay with it. It is more detailed.
okay.
So you're gonna withdraw your motion, are you gonna withdraw your second,
Yes.
Mrs. Carmen? Withdraw your second?
Withdraw my second?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Withdraw my second.
Then I recommend that the Board of Education adopt the district-wide Facilities Committee recommendation of the Master Facility Plan, which includes 2 phases. Phase 1 is a recommendation that the town of Southington has a 2026 spring referendum for the construction of a new, larger Kelly Elementary School and an interior expansion of the lower level of South End Elementary School. Upon completion of the construction, Flanders Elementary School would close, and there would be a redistricting of the 7 remaining elementary schools. Phase 2 includes a second referendum at a date to be determined, building a new Darrenowski Elementary and a Karen Smith Academy on the lower level of the Darrenowski site.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Bashevsky?
So if I may, and I want to stress that this isn't something that we've been secretive about having meetings about or anything else. This has been a transparent process, just the same way that I've served on multiple committees. Again, we encourage the public to come. We encourage people to come and speak at the dais to essentially voice their concerns so that we can collaborate and work together. With that being said, I want to address a couple things that I heard this evening. Fiscally sound and ethically sound. When we looked at different propositions, and again, I will say from my own experience, being part of the vote last year, in approving the first phase, there was a lot of questions that come up. I too am a Flanders alum. I love that district. My dad still lives there. My brother bought a house there as well. With that being said, the question of could we potentially bus students out of Flanders to Kelly, as you know, we had a new Kelly and then potentially a building that's still standing to bring kids in. After, you know, again, going through what that would look like, there was no good scenario that would allow for a traffic pattern to facilitate essentially 600 kids, 600 families moving in that small neighborhood school district. You know, busing kids from Darrenowski to potentially a new Flanders. Again, during our budget process, we've essentially determined it's roughly $80,000 per bus for an entire school year. So now 500 students, okay, assume 25% could be walkers. Now we're essentially busing an additional 75% of kids would be, you know, rough figures, about 425 students. We're looking at another 10 buses, another $800,000. So I want to stress that every single decision that this board comes to, again, we're dads in the community, we're moms in the community, we're grandparents in the community. To say that we're just guided by fiscal responsibility, I think is certainly an understatement. You know, one of the other comments that I heard, not to be skipping around, but you know, the teams being reinstated at DePaulo Middle School. We said that it was temporary for a 2-year period while it supported the number of students that were moving through those grades. Again, like, being a business owner and everything else, like, we have to be able to make reasonable determinations for where dollars go, how we shift things around as a school year undergoes. You know, again, like, it's not that we're, again, I care, my kids are going to DePaulo. You know, I'm speaking as a dad a little bit as well. Like, it's not something that comes easy, but at certain periods of time, like, we have to figure out where the cups have to go for that particular year. You know, I remember Dave Darrenowski multiple times talking about the catastrophe of trying to do too many elementary schools all at once and how that turned into a complete firestorm. I don't want that to happen here. You know, what we've been presented with is a reasonable option. Having talked to the chairman of the town council as far as goals of what would happen with the Flanders. Again, like, I don't know where these rumors that it's gonna get sold to a developer and, you know, houses are gonna be built and then, you know, there's people that are gonna be making money. This town has spent millions of dollars with open space, trying to hang on to some of the parts of our town that make Southington great, as far as agriculture, as far as being open. Again, the proposed ideas of what a facility like Flanders could do, from community services, essentially being able to store suits, dresses for families in town that need things for a prom. You know, again, like, this job isn't easy. I think we all know that. And again, like, the decisions, especially when it relates to a change like this, is hard. I don't like the idea of closing a school. However, with that being said, just like we reinstated our half teams at DePaulo, it doesn't mean a conversation can't be had down the road that, you know what, we need that elementary school again. And now we're in a position where if there's no students at it, we can rebuild on that particular property. So again, like, there's no easy way to go about this. You know, I wanted to at least vocalize sort of the war in my own head as we're making this decision tonight. So, you know, thank you.
Mrs. Clark?
We know that, we all know it's hard. This is a hard decision for all of us. I went to your PTO meeting last year, and I told you, it's a hard decision. None of this has been done in secret. We have all the any information you want, we have, but we're looking at the entire student body. We're looking at all our students. We're looking at inequities in the various buildings. And what we're trying to do is make it equitable for everyone. And yes, it's gonna be hard. It's hard sitting here right now. It's hard talking and facing you all. It is hard. It is a hard decision that none of us have come to very easily. But it's a decision that we have to make as elected officials.
Mr. Whitehead?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll keep my comments short, I promise. But I'm sitting here we're sitting here in my old elementary school, North Center. So, you know, all the Flanders parents, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I remember sitting for the bus stop and Dr. Arnold coming over on a snow day. We're waiting to come to school, and she was the principal. And she says, there's no school today. When does that happen? I mean, I know that was the mid-'80s, but my point is, I think that over time, things change. And as you can look what the town did with our beautiful school, where we are now, it's the municipal center. So I have full confidence that whatever happens, the town leaders will do the right thing. And the power's still with the people. There's still a vote that needs to happen, right? So referendum or not. But in any event, I just wanted to let you know that we hear you. And if where we're sitting right now is kind of a look into the future, I think that's a pretty good future in terms of what we could do potentially with the historical, landscape that Flanders is.
Thank you. Ms. Camuso?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me, I think I heard several things in the conversations and the words tonight, like human impact and neighborhood schools, and I, for one, am all for that, for neighborhood schools and keeping that sense of community. And I love that this community exists, and we've seen it across all the schools, and I think it's incredible that you're here speaking. Thank you for doing that. I did have a logistical question. So we are in this motion also recommending what was already approved last May. Is that appropriate? Parliamentarian, I guess.
Yeah, restating and saying we're going to finish the entire.
Okay, so it's a reinstatement. Only because I was not there on May 8th to vote for this, but I do agree that.
But this is just to make your logistical, this is a separate vote from that vote.
Correct, yeah. So I just, I remember hearing about 8 months ago from a parent how their child was never going to see a new school. And that stuck with me. So putting forth this Kelly school into the referendum, I do think is critical, and the South End built out as well. It's tough talking about closing a school. I think it's just, like you said, Joe, I think Mrs. Clark said it, there's just so much emotion, and we're talking about children. I think children, they bounce back easier than we do. So when they go to a new school, they'll make new friends and they will have fun. But I also would like to put on the record that if we do close this school, that I don't want to see anything being added to this. There's this residential thing that we heard tonight. Open space, and maybe the school is repurposed, like you said, Mr. Whitehead. I do think that would be beneficial to the community. It can be used for other things. I don't know what, arts and crafts classes. I'm not sure. The other thing is the Darrenowski and the KSA. So again, I think Flanders and the Darrenowski and KSA is going to be very difficult. That's like 5 to 6 years from now. And the projections could change. The enrollment projections could change. We don't know. So another board is going to take a vote in probably 4 to 5 years to put this referendum up. And the situation might be different. And we don't know that. We can't possibly tell the future. but based on the expertise of those who do this, and of the administration, talking with them to understand better what is the plan that is going to fit the community best. You know, this one here is the one that made sense. And it's not just fiscal. I do think it's what could be better for the kids if indeed we are projecting, if these projections are right, which I don't know how you come up with those projections. I mean, data is a valuable thing these days, but you know, getting it accurate is important as well. Yeah, that's what
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I concur with my colleagues. I will say it's noteworthy that this is bipartisan, that both parties are in agreement on this one. I think our students deserve modern facilities. We have a disparity in town. We have some brand-new, wonderful buildings and some that are old. I did go to Kelly School and walked around last year and was struck by things in closets and boiler rooms and places that just didn't work. When I hear the money part, it's interesting. When you look at what it would cost to not do anything, it's a pretty big price tag to just keep those 3 old buildings and work on them, and then end up with 3 old buildings. It is an emotional thing. Trust me, I hear you. I've been around too long. I was around when Milldale School was closed. You probably didn't even realize that was a school. And when this school was closed, where we're speaking, and it's ironic, and the kids do adjust, and the parents adjust, and by the time some of this happens, there'll be a second referendum, and as Lisa said, the numbers could change. We don't know. The first phase, I think we're pretty much all in agreement, is a good idea, the first referendum. We did hire a reputable company that's done a lot of research. We had public hearings on it last year. People came, we debated it, we looked at all the numbers and the enrollments and everything else, and we were very transparent about that. And the other one, which some people have mentioned, I would totally recommend the town not put apartment buildings or houses on that land. We're pretty much in agreement on that. Parks, fields, use the building for something else, eventually an auditorium and a gym, and all those things could be used. I don't think any of us really would like to see just more houses there. So it's not easy, it is emotional. I'm gonna say that for the most part, the parents, your child will stay in the school they're in until the first phase is done. So it's not easy, but I do support the overall plan.
Mrs. Carmody?
It is quite obvious, I believe, that all of us, all my colleagues on the Board of Education, our main concern is to do what is best for the children of Southington. That's why we're here. And we have mixed feelings about a lot of this plan, but we are all committed to doing what we feel is best for the future of the children of Southington. And no one wants to see a school close, a neighborhood school, which is my neighborhood school, but we're doing what we believe is best for our students in Southington. And it's wonderful to see that we are all together on that, really. So I think we can take a vote on that, don't you?
Mr. Carson?
Yeah, and I'll just add a few comments. You know, and I appreciate everything that all the board members and the community has said leading up to this decision and here this evening. I think it's important just to remind everyone that with the state of federal and state education funding, the time is now, and the time is right. We don't know what the future holds, and the fact that we've presented a master plan for this community that has the best chance of being reimbursed at the highest rate with today's budget dollars, I think is critical for us and for Southington, and for families that live in the school communities that have children in our district, but also for our taxpayers. who don't have children or students within our school district. It is truly advantageous and fiscally responsible because people come to Southington. They want to live in Southington. They want to move to Southington for our schools and for our excellent school district. So I say that in that this plan and the decision leading up to it has been very intentional. And our entire district and the schools within it are all community schools, are all neighborhood schools. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about Hatton, Strong, Flanders, Darrenowski, they're all community neighborhood schools. And it's important to realize that just like this building, you know, that Mr. White had brought to our attention, I think town council, administration, they have done an excellent job of repurposing buildings that the town owns, that the community owns. And I trust that with Flanders, with Darrenowski, with the next school or the next, you know, public building, that they will do the right thing. All right, we have to have faith in that. And I'm sure that the town council will speak to that, and we need to support that as a community, whether it's, you know, moving in community services or elections department or what have you. The space will be utilized, and I think it will remain an asset and a benefit to the community at large. And then just one last thing. Memories and relationships are not lost with the moving or the closing of a physical building. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. The relationships we create today, yesterday, 20 years ago in that Flanders building will remain. The memories are not lost. The relationships are not lost. Falcons fly. Wherever their nest may be, they will find it. They will find a home. And remember, falcons fly. Memories and relationships are not lost. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to make a couple points, and I want to echo the comments that came across the dais today. It's very, very good points. Thank you all. I want to also say thank you to the members of the District-Wide Facilities Committee. There have been several iterations of the committee over the last many years. Members of all of the Board of Education, Town Council, Finance Board, all the different boards and the leadership of the town. The meetings have all been open to the public. We've encouraged people to come. We've posted every one of our meetings out on the website so that people could see, trying to do everything as openly and transparently as possible. So people did have an opportunity to come and get their communications if they had issues. We did get a lot of communications over the years of people that had things they wanted to say about what was going on, both for and against the different levels of the process. So I want to thank everybody for their input as well. Last comment I'll make, and I know that there has been discussion about what's going to happen with that facility and that area. I don't think there's a determination has not been made. I will say, you know, we heard the discussion of open space. We go out and we look for open space, right? And we buy open space in the town. We don't have to buy this space. It is our town space. So to designate this as open space is pretty cheap. We don't have to worry about buying it. And it's a great piece of open space where a lot of our youth go and play. They practice, they use those fields. And if we can repurpose that building to be some sort of a community center for that particular area, or some additional town municipal operations areas, that would be a wonderful opportunity too. And I guess, as you said, this is a kind of a great example of that. So having said that, can you please call the roll?
No.
Yes.
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 Yes, the motion passes 8-1. Thank you all very much. All right, we're going to move on to our next item of business, which is the appointment of the Leonard and Gladys Joel Scholarship Committee. This is a scholarship that the Board of Education has 3 or 4 members be a part of. They read through the applications and they select a scholarship winner. And I'd be looking for people that would be interested in taking part in that. If you're interested, you could let me know tonight, or you could reach out at some other point. Would anybody be interested in speaking up now?
You and I.
Ms.
Yep,
Anastasio?
I'd love to. Thank you.
I'll do it. If someone else wants to do it, I have no problem not doing it, but I would be glad to do it.
The scholarship.
Scholarship.
Maybe one more, third member?
Bob, you and I.
Mr. Carson?
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have Mrs. Anastasio, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Carson that will do the scholarship. Excellent. All right, next on the agenda is the approval of the education specifications for roof projects. We have 3, and we'll do each one individually. The first is the Hatton Elementary School.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the educational specifications for the Hatton Elementary roof replacement project as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the education specifications for the Strong Elementary roof replacement project as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the educational specifications for the Thalberg Elementary roof replacement project as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes as well. Next on the agenda, item D, E, F, G, and H are first reads of policies. So you don't have to listen to my voice, we'll just say that they're policies regarding public complaint, budget and expense report, and annual financial statement, hiring of staff, effective staff recruitment and retention, and attendance, excused absences, and truancy. That will be, if you have any questions on any of those, please direct them to Mrs. Anastasio and Mr. Pepe. We'll get those to you, and we'll be looking at these at our next meeting. Next, we have 2 motions to review job descriptions.
Yes. Move to approve revised job description for the high school department leader as presented by the Policy and Personnel Committee.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Move to approve revised job description for the high school assistant department leader as presented by the Policy and Personnel Committee.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. And then with item J through P, those are first reads of curriculum. SHS Agricultural Science Intro to Mechanics, SHS Agricultural Science Intro to Small Animals, SHS Agricultural Science Intro to Large Animals, MS Digital, MS Health, SHS Unified Physical Education, and the SHS Electrical and Electronic Applications. So those are first reads. Again, if there are any questions, please reach out to Mr. Brown or Mr. Pepe, and we'll get those answers in advance of the next meeting. Next section on the agenda, excuse me, on the agenda is public communication for non-agenda items. In this area, the time limit is 3 minutes per speaker. If you'd like to speak on an item not on the agenda, you can come up and state your name and address for the record. Any takers? Okay, hearing none, we are looking now for a motion for adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned.